Once upon a time, in the middle of winter, when snowflakes were falling like feathers from the sky, a queen sat at her window sewing. The frame of the window was made of black ebony wood, and as she sewed, she pricked her finger. 3 drops of blood fell onto the snow, and the red looked so beautiful against the white. She thought, "Oh, I wish I had a child as white as snow, as red as blood, and as black as ebony." Soon after, the queen had a little daughter who was just as she had wished. She named her Snow White, but not long after the child was born, the queen died. A year later, the king married again. His new wife was beautiful, but she was proud and cruel. She possessed a magic mirror, and every day she would stand before it and ask, "Mirror, mirror on the wall, who is the fairest?" And the mirror would always answer, "You, my queen, are the fairest of all." This pleased her greatly. But as Snow White grew older, she became more and more beautiful. One day, when the queen asked her mirror the usual question, it answered, "Snow White is far fairer than you." The queen turned pale with envy. She called a huntsman and said, "Take the child into the forest. Kill her." The huntsman obeyed and led Snow White deep into the forest. But when he raised his knife, Snow White begged for her life. The huntsman's heart softened. He said, "Run away, poor child. I will not harm you." Snow White ran as far as she could. As night fell, she came upon a small cottage. Inside, everything was neat but very small. There were 7 little beds and a table with 7 plates. Exhausted, she ate a little, then lay down across the beds and fell asleep. Soon, the owners of the house returned. They were the 7 dwarfs who worked in the mountains digging for gold. When they found Snow White, they were surprised but kind. She woke and told them her story. The dwarfs took pity on her and said she could stay as long as she kept house for them. Meanwhile, the queen once again asked her mirror who was the fairest. The mirror answered that Snow White was still alive and living with the dwarfs. Furious, the queen decided to kill her herself. First, she disguised herself as an old peddler woman and went to the cottage. She laced Snow White's bodice so tightly that she nearly suffocated. Luckily, the dwarves returned in time and loosened the laces, saving her. The second time, the queen came with a poisoned comb. When Snow White put it in her hair, she fell down unconscious. Again, the dwarfs returned and removed the comb. The third time, the queen prepared a poisoned apple. One half was harmless, the other deadly. She tricked Snow White into taking a bite of the poisoned side. As soon as Snow White bit into it, she fell down as if dead. When the dwarfs came home, they could not revive her. Believing she was gone, they placed her in a glass coffin and watched over her for many days. One day, a prince passed through the forest and saw Snow White lying in the coffin. He was struck by her beauty and begged the dwarves to let him take her with him. As his servants carried the coffin away, they stumbled, and the piece of poisoned apple in Snow White's throat was dislodged. She opened her eyes and came back to life. The prince was overjoyed, and Snow White agreed to marry him. At their wedding, the evil queen was invited. Before going, she asked her mirror who was the fairest. The mirror replied that the young queen was now the fairest of all. Filled with rage and fear, the queen went to the wedding, only to discover the truth. Its punishment for her wicked deeds. She was forced to wear red-hot iron shoes and dance until she fell down dead. And Snow White and the prince lived happily ever after.